To influence people, you need to understand the essence of our humanity. Our essence, we are emotional creatures rather than creatures that follow the logic. We tend more to be affected with emotions, whether we know it or not, whether we feel it or not, whether we admit it or not. We care more about emotions, and this is why if you review the literatures, they always says emotional intelligence matters so much more than the IQ score. To understand that, just think about it. People always remember, they will not forget how you make them feel. But they still can't forget how what you did for them, or what you said, or what you said for them before. To influence people, watch this video till the end, so you will catch up with all the tips till the end of the video on how to influence the people's mind. Tip number 1, feed the self-esteem of the person you are dealing with. It doesn't matter who's the person you are dealing with. All of us are in need to feed the self-esteem, and usually we do that by appreciation and compliments, and I mean by that genuine kind of appreciation and compliments. So it have to be truthful and genuine. Be careful not to go to the side of flattering. Flattering is self-serving, selfish kind of thing, but genuine kind of compliments and appreciation are something that cares for other people. Always put in your mind this one thing: you are here to serve others in first place rather than serving yourself. So it have to be truthful and have to be genuine. Tip number 2, always look to the situation from the other side, or the other person viewpoint of the situation. We usually tend to be so much busy in our affairs, in a way we end up getting blind to understand the other side of the story. That's why we need to focus on the side of the sympathy with the other person's side of the story, to feel the other person's side of the story, to look to it on his point of view. And remember, you will do that without forgetting your side of the same story. But the goal here is to show the other person how much you can sympathize and how much you can understand and listen to his side of all of the story. And by focusing on that, they will be influenced, or people will be influenced easier. Tip number 3, make the idea appears as the other person's idea. We as a human being tend to have this capability to follow our own idea way much more than the other people's ideas. So to do that, we need to start doing it by giving some open-ended questions to get the other person to reach the same result you are trying to get to the same request you are requesting. One of the real life examples where on one of the companies, the manager gathered his staff and asked them one question. They started the meeting with one question: what you guys can expect from me regarding the job you are doing? And they started to ask things like fairness, respect, appreciation, and stuff like that. Then he asked another question: what would I expect from all of you? And they started to give things like loyalty, commitments, creativeness, and hard work. And after that meeting, sales jumps up and increase significantly, because it's so obvious the way we tend to follow our own idea is kind of a part of our nature. Tip number 4, the best way to win an argument is by avoiding it. To do that, let me explain to you something. If you start a conversation by asking a person, I want to prove for you how wrong you are, I would show you the correct path. I mean, by starting the sentence or starting the conversation by something like that, you will immediately activate the ego of the other person, where he would start to be immediately as defensive as you cannot even imagine. He will start to think and focus on the defensiveness, and this will end up dragging you to a deep conversation that will not end easily. The other way you can do it is by saying at the beginning of the conversation, I might be wrong, let's examine the fact. By this, you will break the wall of argument by the first sentence in a way that opens the mind of the other person for listening and understanding. Tip number 5, if you have done a mistake, admit it emphatically. Now, defensive kind of discussion that happens with the other person usually bring more resistance and friction with the other person. But if you start the conversation, you have done a mistake and you start the conversation by admitting your mistake, usually the other person will start to defend you in his term, and will make the conversation so much easier and more smooth, and it will make the other person ready to be influenced by you. Tip number 6, be genuinely interested in the other person's affairs. There is nothing more convincing than being interested in the other people on the other person's affairs. We usually, as a human being, if we don't feel that interest, usually we dissociate from the conversation and we end up not being interested on the topic being discussed. So to influence people, always put in your mind to be interested genuinely on their affairs. Tip number 7, persuade people with the rule of consistency. People tend to like to be more consistent. In one of the studies that have been done before, they have compared two neighborhoods when they asked both of them to erect unsightly wooden board to support Drive Safe campaign. Now the interesting part, when they compare the result of both of them, they noticed that one of the neighborhoods accepts 400% more of requests, only because that specific neighborhood were asked to post the smaller stickers on their in front of their yard 10 days before that, and eventually when they were asked to erect the unsightly wooden board supporting the campaign, they accepted much more offers. So to focus on that, always try to be consistent and ask the people to put that in documents, to put their commitment in documents, make that even more being influenced. If you like this video, hit the like button below so that YouTube algorithm is going to take this video for more interested audience. And if you are interested for more of self-improvement, self-growth kind of videos, subscribe to this channel, and thank you all for watching.